Okay, my friends, we all know about the sinkholes that are happening all around the world. It's not a secret. They're over and over, more and more and more, they're collapsing. Now, there's a reason for this. And I'm doing this video as a response to that, and we need to do something to try to help Earth. I just did a video on fusion, and that we have to do something. We have to come up with some other way to power our lifestyle. We're destroying the Earth, literally. So just pay attention. It's going to be a lot of fun too. There's doom and gloom, yep, no question about that. But there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff about mud fossils in this, because that is what's happening to the Earth, and I will show all the different things that relate. So it's going to be very interesting as well as very informative, because if we don't do something pretty soon, I mean, I hope it's not too late, but it's right on the edge. Alright, well, I'm sorry to be the one to bring this news to you, but it's not good. And there's a lot of these. They're growing, they're getting deeper, they're getting bigger. The Earth is filled with these holes. They're perfectly round. That didn't just happen from water sinking in there. Nobody drilled that. These are what the Earth is constructed of. It's a cellular matrix on this Earth. Not understood. It's a living creature. It's being exploded and sucked dry. Just a fact. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not going against anybody's livelihood. I'm just telling you what's going on. And I believe it's a living creature, and I would think it would be taking this as an assault. And I've never seen a living creature that didn't protect itself. So, I don't know. That's all. Nothing against anybody. Just trying to come up with a conclusion to what's going on. Notice this structure. That's an artery, and they come right together with veins usually, because the vein brings the blood back. It's blue, deoxygenated in your body, black when you see it in the mud fossils, because it takes on a little extra oxygen, it appears. The red blood is artery. Now, you see these little bumps down in here? This is the valve. See down here, valve? See? I keep saying they won't let the blood go backwards, and they will not. And the blood will be black because it's a different color than the red blood. Now, the red blood supplies the tissues. This just slurps the whole thing back, so there's very few things sticking out of those. But here, the red ones, they supply your blood vessels, and they supply all the tissues that they run through. So there's a lot of vascularity to them. And now I'm going to show you what it appears to be on Earth. Now, the reason I'm talking about the details here is because I show you rocks all day long, and you're never going to understand them until you understand the anatomy, the chemistry, and all the rest of the business that goes along with it. The structures are very important to understand the chemistry that's within them. So you need, the structure has to look right. You have to have the chemistry that looks right, the anatomy, and then you can make a claim. But you can't just take one little piece and say, oh, that's a face, or that's a this, or that's a that. So I'm going to show you how to make a true determination, and this is unbelievable, but it's true. Alright, I put this up a while back. It's Mount Kalish, holy site, is a vein. I put this up a couple of years ago. Now, this is the video, and this is the vein right there. There's Mount Kalish. I showed you those pinchy looking things. That is a pinch, and that is the vein. This is a vein, and you know why I can say that? This is why. Watch where it goes to from here. This is the vein. But right next to it is going to be an artery. And what's the artery going to have? The artery is going to have those same exact little feeders that I showed you on the other one. So where's the artery? There's the artery right there. And it's not black, it's red, because blood is red that's in the artery. It's not black. And these are those little blood vessels. All right, so I have all the evidence. I can show this evidence. Now, this is a very huge holy site, and I can understand why. It's part of a creature. Now, is there an entrance to the creature? I don't know. There could be, because I mean, I now believe there's some serious entrances into this world. Anyway, that's Mount Kalish. Now let me show you something that is really going to knock your socks off, if your socks are still firmly attached to your feet. Alright, you should go up here if you haven't seen this yet. Mars, the new evidence for life. Now these are all on my old channel. I started the Mud Fossil University channel. It's all one word, Mud Fossil University. And this is a couple of years ago I had this stuff. And I wasn't getting any hits. I'm still not getting many hits, but I'm starting to come along. Anyway, this talks about the blood vessels and all that, and then about 4:10 or so, it shows something that is on Mars, which is this. And this is the Mars crab. And lo and behold, we have the same arterial structure, and we have red blood, and we have the arms of the blood vessels that service this, which is muscle tissue. And what has eroded out of that muscle tissue is this red flesh. These are the red fleshy things. This is the connective tissue in mud fossils, but it's also connective tissue in your body. You don't have just muscles there. You have strips of connective tissue running through them. That gives you the structural integrity so that the muscles can pull against it. And there is a bazillion little balls in you all over the place, and those anchor all of these things so that they can pull against things. Those are the anchors, and I go into those in great detail. But this is the artery. This is the vascular arms, just like we saw Mount Kalish. This is the return, just like we saw in the blood vessel anatomy shots. All right, this is in Russia. These are the Russian sinkholes. That's a guy standing right there. And these are these little snowballs that build up on the little vascular entries. And they're sinking into the ground because these are literally biodigesters. They take the organic matter into the ground. They turn it into hydrocarbons. They really do. They turn it into oils. And now that they're sinking, and these big holes, because we've sucked everything out and fracked everything, created pressure. These are exploding. These are exploding out of here. That's what happened here. These are exploding because, well, I'll show you. I'll show you why. And they're exploding a lot now, and they're catching on fire. And I did talk to Russians about this 3-4 years ago. They were real concerned about it. There was only a few of them at that point, and because I was studying sinkholes, and they got a hold of me, and I talked to them, and I could see what was going to happen, and it has. All right, this goes back over a year. This is CNBC, Europe News. Mysterious craters blowing out of Russia could mean trouble for the whole planet. Rising temperatures causing Siberia's long frozen ground called permafrost to thaw. The permafrost last melted 130,000 years ago, but the rate of melting this time is unprecedented, science says. The thawing could worsen global climate change. I believe, and then again, here's these craters, and I believe we are entering a thickness in the atmosphere that is warming us up. They need to pay attention to this, because the atmosphere of the vacuum of space is not empty. It's full of light particles. Those light particles are ether. Ether is understood a zillion years ago. It's negative particles that flow from luminous bodies through space as darkness, dark energy and dark matter. They're looking for it, there it is. And then once it collides with something, even a space station or something, it lights it up in space, or it comes down and collides with the Earth or our atmosphere and glows. That is what energy is, that's what light is, and that is what is in space. And I think we're coming into because we're being whipped through space on the arm of the Milky Way. We're not just sitting here standard. So there's a lot to take into consideration here. But this is a problem. I talked to a bunch of other scientists too from very prestigious places on not wanting to be talked about. Anyway, the methane's 86 times worse than carbon dioxide. It's belching into our atmosphere. Now, see, this is back in 2014. That's about the time I talked with the Russian. First one reportedly measured over 50 feet wide. Now they have 7,000 of them exploding, popping out of the ground. But we're looking at it too. I talked to some American researchers that concerned. Now, anyway, let me show you something else. All right, so we go forward from 2014, And we have now, so now there's 7,000 methane bubbles beneath Siberia, and they're blowing up to these bubbles like this. That's what the one that started this whole thing, and that's the one that I was talking to them about. But now they have 7,000 of them here, and they're all over the planet. Well, they're not all over the planet, they're all over their tundra, but they're fracking over there.
Siberia. In an investigation with field expeditions and satellite surveillance, up to 7,000 methane bubbles have been identified that could explode at any time. According to reports, the agency task is a number of bubbles extraordinarily superior to what was supposed. These methane bubbles are probably eruptions of methane gas released by the thawing of permafrost that is caused by climate change, and appear as bumps in the earth, as if the soil had swollen. According to Alexei Tatovsky, head of the Department of Science and Innovation of the Yamal region, one of...
Yeah, I think it's Yamani. But anyway, these, I believe, are the result of pressures under the ground. Obviously, it didn't just grow up there like a pimple. Something is forcing it underground, from underground. Well, what is that? It's not water, I don't think. Although I do see they're filling up with water. I had not expected that, to be perfectly honest with you. I had expected a depth here. However, I do believe the methane is being captured in the surface cap and bubbling it up, because that's what's happening in the lakes too. The lakes are just as affected as the territory, as the terrestrial areas.
The first gas bubbles was discovered during a summer 2016 expedition to Bali Island, but apparently more and more. If the bubbles burst, methane and CO2 will be expelled into the atmosphere, which will accelerate global warming. Some of these inflated bundles may have already exploded. Since 2014, dozens of huge craters have been appearing in the region. At the bottom of one of them, 30 meters, methane concentrations were detected that reached up to 9.6% when in the air barely contains 0.000179% of this gas.
Alright, this is another one I did a while back. This goes back 3 years ago. Mars crab and the Russian holes are the same origin living planets. I got 622 hits on this one. Alright, here we go. Now watch this. That's where the crab is, somewhere down in there, but that was muscle tissue. This is muscle tissue that I have on right here in my shop from the exact same type of chemistry, anatomy, the whole 9 yards. However, it's much smaller, obviously, but you can see. Hold on, let me just play what I'm saying here so we can see. Right next to it. Anyway, that I believe is where the muscle invested right into another. Right next to it. Anyway, bringing a muscle. And I've been studying these for quite a while, and I'm like sure they're muscles. They're muscle. Yeah, they are muscles. There's no question. Creature, and that is a blood vessel. And you see this like right next to it. You can see the blood, the strips of blood. You can see the weave of the muscle. That's not sedimentary. This is where it attaches, and back here is those tendon straps. That is the abrupt transition between between muscles where it starts. It's still fibrous and it's still got a lot of mineralization, but this is the gluey stuff that holds this to the tendon straps. And I have this in extreme detail in the microscope. There's no question about it. Let's see what else I have to say. Some of them have them right next to it. Anyway, that I believe is where the muscle invested right into another. Well, I know it is. Piece of. It would be good to have a look at, but you can see these crab legs coming out of it. You see it? There's the exact same thing. Right there, look. That is the crab, only it hasn't eroded yet fully. I hope you can see that. It gets a little blurry when I highlight that. But this is right here in my shop. I have it right here on the floor. And that is the red blood, and that is the tissue. It's the same thing. There's no question whatsoever. So that's Mars. And these are mud fossils. And these are on Earth. And these are in Russia. They are the big holes in Russia. And they are setting on fire now because that's where organic tissue was down in there. And now it's turning into methanes. That's what happens when the cells begin to deteriorate. They are hydrocarbons. All your cell, every cell in every creature and every plant is constructed of hydrocarbons. Once they rot and they deteriorate and all the organics leach out of them, you have hydrocarbons in there. Methanes, bitumens, oils, and as they vaporize all the other stuff, the other volatiles go away, you end up with these explosive chemistry. And I'll show you why I can say that. Alright, I'm not just complaining, I'm trying to see if people can come around to trying to find another energy source. And I just put, I'm going to put this video up very soon. Free energy cold fusion using a Venturi. And I think we can do that. And I'm asking
it's Roger,
them,
Mudfossil University,
hear,
with a request from people that can create protonic gases, deuterium and tritium ionized gases, and then accelerate them, not extreme like they do at CERN.
Alright, I'm not going to bother going any further. Come up and look at this video. Cold fusion using a Venturi, Mudfossil University. It's going to be called Free Energy Cold Fusion using Venturi. Now, if we could get cold fusion, it could help energy problems. We need to do something. So somebody's going to have to step up. We need somebody like Warren Buffett or somebody with some resources that's really concerned about the Earth. Because I don't think the government's ever going to do it. They don't have any money. They're not interested in anything apparently along these lines, and especially not now. So if somebody steps up, this might be able to be done. But we need to have somebody step up. I can't do this.